What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 350th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. Woo, do we have a good show today. We're going to have Camden County's new head coach Travis Roland live in the first segment, and then we'll be joined by Clint Jenkins of Morgan County in the second segment. They're coming off one of their best seasons in school history. They set an offensive record for points per game. I think they have a really good chance this year. But let's go ahead and get started with Coach Roland. How's it going, Coach?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for coming on. So I want to start off with this. When I saw the Camden County job open up, I think I said on my show, I think they're going to go out of state. I think someone, because this is such a big job opening, is going to come in. And then when I saw your name, I was like, they nailed it. They got another state championship coach. So talk about that, just how Camden County really is one of the best jobs anywhere in the country.
I mean, so my first introduction to Camden was back in 2003-2004 school year. The same year we won a state championship at Mainland when I was a senior. The great quarterback, Emmanuel Bacon, that won the first one for Camden, he came to Bethune. We were part of the same signing class. And so we've, going to Augusta, oddly enough, there was never a Zaxby's in Daytona Beach. And so there was a Zaxby's right there on exit 3. And my family's always stopped there at Sonny's. And we saw the signs. We always said, man, they play some really good football up here. So that's kind of my introduction to it. And then obviously Coach Herron did the things that he did that was amazing. And so once you got into the business of being a high school football coach, things, you knew this was a great place. Like I've said from the beginning, Camden has been trendsetters in terms of how a football program is run, the facilities. People are catching up and doing certain things, but Camden was the ones that started with the college-style weight rooms, the big staffs to be able to run the appropriate program, all those different things that people have done to create culture. Camden was a trendsetter at. So, when this opportunity came about and I saw it, I knew that I was going to, shoot my shot per se and then see kind of how things would play out.
Yeah, and what was that like? Because I think it had over 30 applicants. You had the great season with Mainland. You guys won the state title. But when you put your name in and then you found out you got the job, how long of a period of time was that?
So oddly enough, I think Coach Herron stepped down I think it was like at their banquet, like the 24th or something like that. I think the job posted a couple of days like that following Monday, like 2 days later. And so it was about a month-long process. Funny enough, you didn't hear anything for a while. I think I remember I filled out the application January 29th, and we didn't hear anything back again until Valentine's Day week, I think, about who were the finalists. I believe there were 10 of us chosen. And again, this is one of those places where it's one of those, even though they didn't call, it's like you got to make sure you meet the qualifications. I always make the joke. This is the first time I filled out an application, and under qualifications it said being able to get have a degree, obtain certification, and then the very next line was state championship experience. So, it kind of was like, hey, if you don't have that experience, don't even worry about finishing this application. So it was definitely a daunting task, a long waiting game because you think you're qualified, but you just never know. And obviously, with so many different coaches having ties to Camden, you weren't really sure what was going to happen and what was going to come of it.
Yeah, and you guys did have the state championship experience, and then you had it as a player and a coach, 20 years apart. How special was that just this last season?
It was amazing. I think, like I say, going there in 2022 and losing by 2 points, we had a mission in mind from the very beginning. From, time we walked off that field, we wanted to get back. And for those of us coaches and players that came back, we wanted to make sure we did everything we could to give ourselves another shot. And I tell everybody, it was awesome winning it as a player. But when you have kids and then when you see your own kids achieve things, it makes you feel great about it. And so for me, I think watching my players who become like your children, watching them achieve such a goal it was a huge blessing. It was a great experience. Grateful to Daytona for the support they gave us. I'm one of Daytona's babies myself, so it was awesome to be able to go through that with them. And like I said, being able to do it as a player and a coach is a special thing. God's blessed me a tremendous amount, and that's not lost on me. And then the hard work that was put into me by my parents, being able to see all that come out to fruition has been amazing.
Yeah, and it was an absolutely thrilling state championship game. You guys won 21-19 on a late game-winning field goal. And then after the game, you said something that I thought was just so important to have a program playing at a high level. You said, how can my players trust me if I don't trust them to handle those big moments? So how did that state championship game play out, and what were you able to take away from it, just your kids stepping up and handling such a big moment?
I think, one of our coaches, I'm home on spring break, so I'm back in Daytona for the week. And one of the I was talking with our coaches just yesterday, and he was talking about how, the things that we did in practice on a weekly basis, the surprise situations I would put us in, even the schedule, me screaming my head off on the goal line, one play, 2 minute right now, like at random times of practice. He talked about how that kind of helped carry us in that moment. And I think, and what I meant by that was, I asked kids to trust me. When things look dark and grim and bad for us as a program, I got to be able to trust them. And yes, we had a kickoff run back to start the game off. Yes, we missed a field goal in the game. Yes, we missed the extra point in the game. Yes, we got a field goal blocked in the game. All those things happened. But when it was time for us to trust the plan, right, go down, execute on the fourth down, get it ball down the goal line, knowing that we're not going to throw it again, we're going to run it. If we don't get it in, you're going to kick this field goal. Having to trust our kids know that, when we got down there, we weren't going to throw it anymore. And they knew if we didn't get in, we're going to use our timeout and kick a field goal. And so I have to show them that same trust. I can ask a kicker to trust me, to put him in the right positions. And then when it's time for him to go out and execute, him, the holder and the snapper, I got to go out. I have to be able to trust them. And so I think it just showed me that, when players and coaches both trust each other, one hand washes the other, great things can happen. And that's what you saw in that game. Our guys stayed the course the entire time. And I think that was a testament to just who we were as a program, and what we're going to be here, even at Camden, continuing to be a program where coaches and players trust each other and work hard for each other, even when things look bad and dark.
Yep. And then obviously your family's going to be making the move with you, so they were a part of this process. How excited were they just to have this opportunity, go into an exciting Camden County program, and then how receptive has the community been so far?
Well, my children are always happy. My son only had one caveat. He always runs out in the field with the team as a 5-year-old. So he was just like, as long as he can run in the field, he don't really care, how it goes. And then my daughter's always excited, being able to meet new people and just be in the midst of it all. She's excited about it. Obviously they have their concerns about their friends at school and things like that. But they're really excited about the opportunity. And then my wife, she's a Georgia girl herself. She's from Augusta. So, for my mother-in-law and my in-laws, we kind of shortened the drive by about 2 hours. So we're kind of dead smack in the middle between, my family in Daytona and then my wife's family in Augusta. So, like she's been saying, she's decided to be a Georgia girl again. And then, my she's my number one supporter. She pushes me to do great things. I wouldn't have left Mainland the first time to go to FPC when I got my first head coaching job, if not for her. And she's always given me the nudge and belief in myself to, go and try to do great things. So thankful to her for just always pushing me and supporting me in this. And then Camden's been great. I think I felt the love from these people already. It's a place where they love Camden County football. That's the college team, that's the pro team, that is everything there. And so they've been so gracious to me, whether it's trying to help us find housing, inviting us to church, whatever it may be. The people of Camden have been amazing so far. And like I said, I'll be really happy once my kids are there and the whole family is there and we can truly start and kind of ingraining ourselves into the culture of Camden and help kind of shape it into the way that I feel like is going to be best for us to have continued success.
Yep. And I think you started in mid-March, so it hasn't been too long. But how has the off-season gone for you so far?
It's finally slowed down. Honestly, it was a true whirlwind in the beginning because, while it was still early in the game, it really wasn't. Like I tell everybody, these kids, Coach Herron did such a great job with having these kids prepared and on schedule. These young men, have been anxious and ready to get going and doing, certain football activities, and because they know, the regiment they've been on, they know if it's February 25th, they should be doing this. If it's March 16th, they should be doing that. And so I think that's been one of the biggest pieces of it, but it's slowed down a ton. We're having a great time in the weight room right now. Coach Matt Mays, our strength coach, has done a phenomenal job getting our kids stronger, faster, and just even getting them more bulk. So we're excited about that and the results we've had. We have some high school kids jumping 40-inch verticals. I think our numbers were up in the mid 50s with the number of kids power cleaning 225 and above. So he's done a great job, and our coach staff's done a great job, being in the weight room, working the kids harder. And now we'll start our rite of passage deal that has been a long staple in Camden football called Blue Dawn. That's going to start when we get back every Tuesday, Thursday. We'll be out in the field at 6 a.m. Where the kids have to get there on their own and get after it, doing some mat drill type stuff. So things are kind of coming into fruition, and the staff is coming together very nicely. We've made a few hires and kept a lot of guys on staff, so we're excited about the things that we're about to be able to do as a program.
Okay, and then so you guys did make some new hires. Are there any guys that are coming from Florida with you that have been on your staff and worked with you for a while?
Yeah, there's a couple. So he just stepped down as the head coach at Seabreeze High School. Coach Lester Davis. He's going to be joining me up at I almost said Mainland High School. Jesus, up in Camden County. He's going to be coming up with us, to join the staff. So he's one that's coming with us. We've made another hire, and a young man named Rafael Tolentino will be coming up with us to help on the defensive side of the ball. And then we've made our offensive coordinator hire, Grant Alford from Lake Mineola High School, a guy that I coached against the last 3 years at Mainland. Has done a great job as the offensive coordinator at Lake Mineola. Put up 48 points on Lakeland High School in the third-round playoff game where, they definitely had more Jimmys and Joes than he did, but he schemed up some great things. He's a very good football coach, utilizes personnel and motions and shifts and formations. It's a difficult process. Getting them, so we're excited about all the different things that those guys are bringing to the staff as a whole.
Yep, and this Camden County team that you're about to take over, they had a very exciting season last year. I knew it was kind of a long time coming. We're waiting for them to kind of get back to that prominence. They had one of the best playoff runs we've seen, got it done on the road. It was a young team. So what's your impression just with this year's team, just their hunger and then what they were able to learn from last year?
I think the best part that I saw as soon as I got there, you always say a player-driven team will go further than a coach-driven team. And I think the guys that we have up front, Anthony Green, Tazio Rosso, and Zach Taylor, 3 starting offensive linemen, those guys' leadership has been tremendous from the very beginning. They're very vocal. They have the demands that they want, and they make sure those demands are executed by their teammates. And so, it's a blessing to have 3 guys up front coming back that are going to be great players for us. And then we've got a young man on the defense side of the ball that's quiet and Wayne Austell, but he demands respect and demands hard work. And then obviously, having Elias Williams, the number 1 tight end in the country, doesn't hurt. And it's a tremendous help that he's one of our hardest workers. So I think the biggest piece since I've shown up is just seeing, they're so player driven that it makes the job easier for us coaches to be able to get things going in the right direction. So I'm excited about that part, just seeing the senior leadership that we already have. We graduated a bunch of guys off of the defense, but I think offensively, the guys that we brought back are in key positions because they're in those trench positions, and that's the place you got to be strong at, no matter what. If you're not strong in the trenches, it's going to be a long season for you.
Yep, and you mentioned Elias Williams. When I saw him play, because I went to Walton, he matched up with us in the semifinals, and I have not seen a player just that physically gifted in a while. But what were some of the first things you guys talked about, just his goals for the season, and what was it like meeting him?
I think it's weird, man. I think I'm blessed because having last year coached a 5-star defensive end and defensive back and LJ McCray and Zay Mincy who moved on, you don't see many humble kids like that. And I think that was one of the biggest surprises when I met Elias was just how humble he was. Like, it wasn't like, all right, coach, who's the OC you're bringing in, who you're thinking about bringing in, what's the plan to get me the ball. It wasn't any of that. It was like, hey, coach, how you doing? I'm Elias. Nice to meet you. I'm here to work. I'm here to get better. I'm here to win. And so I think that was one of the things that struck me the most was that here's another big-time player that doesn't act that way. Like I said, you wouldn't know it. You look at him and assume he's a big-time player, but he's one of the boys, as I would say. But that's a testament to his parents and what they've done with him. But he just wants to make sure he's involved in us winning. And obviously, we'd be crazy if we didn't utilize a kid with his skill set. I think it's amazing to watch him block. Like that's even been one of the more impressive things as I watched film from last year is how physical he is in the run game. Because a lot of times when you get a kid like that, you're assuming he wants to be all receiver and pass catcher. But this kid, his mindset is all about doing whatever it takes for the team to win. And I think that's been a great part about meeting him is how humble he is.
Yep, and then I want to ask you about the schedule real quick. It's not uncommon for Camden to match up with Florida schools, but you guys have been playing, looks like 4 Florida teams in non-region play. Was the schedule already set before you got in there, or did you help facilitate?
Yep. Funny enough, schedule was already made. I had been trying to rekindle our rivalry with Spruce Creek in Mainland, and we couldn't quite get it going, and because they beat us back in my first year at Mainland, so we've been trying to play them ever since. And so, oddly enough, I get up to Camden and kind of have a chance to get my revenge per se. But the schedule was already made by the time I got there, so that was something that Coach Aaron already put together, which it was already made. It's a solid schedule. I think when you have the region we have, you got to be very careful in what you do early because you're playing the tough region that we do have. You got to get yourself prepared, though. So I think it's a nice mix. We've got Brunswick week 1, which is a rivalry game in itself, and we're trying to get that turned back around. We lost the last 2 in close games, so we got to go there. So I'm sure it'll be a raucous crowd and it'll be a great atmosphere for us to start off, which I'm excited about. I'm ready to see how awesome these crowds are in South Georgia. I've always seen them on TV and YouTube and those kind of things, but it's going to be awesome to be right in the middle of it again. So I'm excited about that part.
Absolutely. And you guys, it looks like this season, I don't know if it will alternate. Sometimes you're able to switch out these out-of-state matchups, but you guys have a ton of home games this year. So what better opportunity to pack Chris Gillum?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I think, I love student sections. I love loud fans. So I'm hoping to, I've seen the things about with the cowbells. They gave, unfortunately, the people of Camden gave my children one at the meet and greet. So I have to hear them ring, shake that thing all day and night in my house. So I can't wait to hear that at the Guild and making people honestly very uncomfortable. I hope that our fans, we give them something to scream about and they bring the energy and they can feel our energy. I think Camden's one of the toughest places to play from my looks of it, and I hope that we can continue to make it that way for the people that come in. I think having 7 home games is awesome. Being able to control that is even better, and so I'm looking forward to being able to pack that place out and continue to give them a brand of football they're proud of.
Yep, and you're mentioning some of the leadership you guys have on that offensive line. That's going to be absolutely huge. And then in spring, I know you guys are going to be evaluating all that speed. You guys have a lot of different weapons, but when does your spring schedule sort of start up? And then do you guys have any scrimmages before the fall?
So we start spring ball May 1st. There wasn't a spring game schedule, which I'm kind of a fan of. In Florida, we had 20 practices, including the game. So you had 19 times to get yourself prepared. Up here, there's only 10 total practices, which when you include the game. So I'm kind of glad that we'll start May 1st, and then we'll have our spring inter squad scrimmage is what we'll finish with the blue and white game. So we're looking forward to that because the kids will be able to compete with each other and kind of get after it and get used to the new schemes and kind of new ways of lining up. So we're excited about that. And then we do have 2 OTAs. We have one in late June, I believe the 24th and 25th, and then we have another OTA in July. We have a number of Florida schools and Georgia schools that will be at both of those. So those will be our 2 opportunities to get some scrimmages in. And I do think for our fall scrimmage, I think we're still looking for one. We hadn't found an opponent yet for the fall scrimmage, but we're working on that as we speak to get an opponent for the fall scrimmage.
Gotcha. And then there's been obviously a lot of talk about Florida coaches coming up to Georgia. We had Coach Paxia on the show last week, but how many guys in Georgia right now are you familiar with that you matched up with?
I mean, let's see. Coached against Paxia. Coach Mark Beach is the head coach at Lambert High School. I coached with him and against him. Coach Fabrizio at Lee County, I've coached against him before. Coach Coe at Coffee, I've coached against him. Coach Granado, his defensive coordinator at Coffee, I've coached against him. So there's a number of guys. I mean, there's people all over the place because Coach Brock is at North Springs, I think it is. I've coached against him before as well. So there's a number of guys that are around that I've coached against. That are the guys at McEachern. I've had some experience with. Went to college with Coach Shepard, who's the DC there at McEachern. So I've kind of been around a little bit with the different guys that I've coached against or even coached with. So, I'm looking forward to it. As I tell everybody, football is football. I think the biggest difference is just the amount of time that you're kind of given in a sense as a teacher and football coach in the state of Georgia, where they kind of take care of the head coach and coordinators to be able to get the product ready to go. So I'm excited about that opportunity. I think that it'll be one and the same, which is why you see guys like Coach Coe have success. You saw Coach Kareem go to McEachern and have the instant success. You've seen Coach Beach have success. So I think it's just a simple thing of Florida guys, when they get the opportunity in a state like Georgia, Alabama, Texas, where they're given the time to prepare and have things in order, they're able to have success. So I'm excited about that. Because at the end of the day, football is football. Power roll is going to be power roll. Counter is going to be counter. No matter where you're at, it's just going to be about, how well you can inspire your kids and how disciplined you can have them.
Yeah, and I know you were pointing out at Mainland, they always have these great athletes, but, you and your staff, you guys go to all these clinics, you guys continue to study the game. What has been kind of a turning point in your head coaching career at some of these clinics or maybe a coach you connected with where you've really gotten some valuable information?
I'll tell you what, Coach Darryl Sutherland, who's the head coach at Bartram Trail High School, he's retired now, already in the Hall of Fame for high school football. I think some of his stuff, just like the organizational pieces, sideline demeanor has been a big one. I think just being able to control the emotions, those are some of the bigger things that I've kind of picked up, in different places I've gone and sat down and talked with coaches. Even just, being blessed this past off season in the spring last year that like I said, we had those 2 5-star kids. So we had a lot of different coaches coming in and they were willing to give us their time. You're able to sit down with them and talk to them and kind of pick their brains. And I think that was one of the bigger pieces, just kind of understanding as a head coach, what my job is in making sure the entire program is calm. I'm a fiery guy just by nature of who I was as a player, but I've had to learn that my emotions and my excitedness has to be under a decent amount of control, because if I get too high or too low, my team will go to the same places, and we want to be able to react and think, but still be physical and play with conviction. So definitely that's kind of one of the biggest things I've picked up over the course of time.
Yeah, and I know this fall will be the first time in a long time that you haven't been at these Mainland games. You've been in Daytona your entire career. You grew up there. So who is left at Daytona that they're going to be able to give you those updates and keep you tuned in?
Well, Facebook will definitely give me those updates when the game's over. But my sister's still here. My parents will be in and out. My cousin, my first cousin took over the job, and so he and I talk every Friday after games anyway. So he was the head coach at Atlantic High School, another school in Volusia County. So he and I talk every single Friday. So I'll get it. We debrief with each other. Kind of say the things we wanted to say on a Friday night to each other, so that we can kind of be a sounding board for each other. So I'm sure I'll get all the details from him about how things will go. I'm excited for them. They bring back a lot of young talent, kind of similar situations, to be honest. What Camden and Mainland both bring back. So I think that a lot of coaches are staying. We actually. Nobody's coming up right now that we know of at this current juncture from the staff. So he'll be solid in that situation where he's going to keep a lot of the guys. But he and I will have a lot of conversation, I'm sure, over the course of the next few months as I get started up here and he gets started down there. I think one thing I've been blessed with since I've gotten to Camden is that we have a lot of Camden graduates on staff. And that's why, our saying this for this season is for Camden. Everything we do, we want to do for Camden, not for our individual selves, not for, whatever reason, but everything we do is for Camden. And so we're kind of excited that I think, if my math's correct, I think we have like 5 or 6 and maybe even more Camden grads on the staff. And then we're excited about that part of it too. Those guys, obviously, it's going to mean a whole lot more to them, just like it meant a whole lot more to me, alma mater and coaching.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we cannot wait for this season. I'll tell you that much. And congratulations on the job. It is awesome.
Thank you.
Camden County is pumped to have you.
Well, I appreciate you guys for having me. Thanks a lot. Really means a lot to be able to get on here and talk about our platform and talk about Camden football. Really looking forward to it. And thanks a lot again. If you guys ever need me, we're always willing to talk about Camden.
You bet. Go Bucks, and more importantly, go Wildcats. Thank you, Coach.
There we go.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, so there goes Coach Roland. Man, what an exciting hire. And, he's in that candidate. I think he was one of 30 candidates. They said he checked all the boxes, including a state championship experience as a player and coach. So let's go ahead. We'll take a quick break. We'll be joined on the other side by Coach Jenkins.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
All right, welcome back. So now we're going to go a little more north to Morgan County with the Bulldogs and head coach Clint Jenkins.
Hey, Craig.
Made you wait a
Can you hear
little
me?
bit. We just had Coach Roland on talking about the Camden County job. But, Coach, you guys are doing big things at Morgan County. You guys are coming off a heck of a season. 3A was super stacked with talent last year. So just talk about what that season last year kind of taught you guys as the program.
Oh, for us, yeah, it was to go 10-2 last year. I don't think anybody saw that from us. So we were just really proud of our kids, proud of our coaches. We were able to get some big wins early, and it was just kind of a step-by-step thing there. When we got here a couple of years ago, it's been really fun to see us progress and see our kids develop in the weight room and character-wise, and then to be able to see it on the field, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and those big wins early, I mean, they're huge. You guys beat Monroe area, the big win over Hebron, and then really dominated in the region. But I thought offensively last year, it just definitely stands out. You guys were super efficient, had a great run game, and it looks like set the school record for points per game. So what was the key last year just offensively to really take that next step?
I think just kids buying into what we're doing schematically with that, and that's what we want to be. We want to be able to run the football. We feel like that sets up our passing game. We can kind of do what we want to do in the passing game when we're able to do that. And, our offensive line, which was, it's funny, a lot of sophomores, actually the whole group last year were sophomores. So we're getting that offensive line back. Lost Jay Dorsey, who did an unbelievable job, went for 1,400 plus yards, but we've got some younger guys that we're excited about, and that's kind of who we want to be. We want to be tough. We want to run the football, and we feel like that sets up everything else.
Absolutely. And then you guys did rise up into the top 10. I know the polls don't mean everything, but when people look at last year, 3A was dominated, obviously, between the Cedar Groves and Sandy Creek after what happened the year before, Calvary Day, Savannah Christian, but you guys were, without question, one of the most talented teams in 3A. So what do you see with this new region moving down to 2A, and then the type of teams you're going to be matched up in region play?
We're excited about it. Again, we had a really good sophomore class last year, so these guys will be rising juniors. We've got some good seniors coming up. As far as the league goes, we're going to have to deal with Westside Macon and Callaway and Jackson, and definitely have a lot on our plate with those guys because there's some real good football teams, and every year's a new year. We're starting over, they're starting over. We're going to character ed, core value meetings and stuff like that, and it's step one, day one. So that's best I can tell you. I know we've got a tough schedule next year.
For sure. And then in terms of that region, looks like you were playing some teams in the Augusta area. Is the travel a little less this year with proximity?
We got, we're more making out to, again, all the way to Callaway, Pike County and Callaway. And so we're kind of, Craig, we're kind of playing down 20 a little bit towards Macon. And then again with Callaway, kind of all the way across the state there to LaGrange, Hogansville over in that area. So that'll be some travel. The last couple of years we've been here, we were in this Augusta region, and again we were just going I-20 the other way. So we knew we could be in a couple of different places when they did this, and we're happy where we landed. There's some really good football teams, and there should be good competition.
For sure. And then Greene County, that's a team you're going to rematch with this year. They served you guys that loss that propelled the big win streak. They were very good last year. They went toe-to-toe with Bowden in the playoffs. Talk about that matchup a little bit and maybe some history there between the programs.
Morgan Greene is huge. It's been a rivalry down here for a really long time. We're right across from Lake Oconee from each other, so it's kind of the battle of Lake Oconee over here. And they've got some really good players, and they do a great job. And that's every game, anything can happen. Our kids will be excited. That was a game for us that I knew what kind of football team they had. We go over there, and you don't ever want to say a loss is a good thing, but for us, I think, when you have really good years and really bad years, there's forks in the road. And for us, going over there and losing at Greene early was we were able to build off that, and I think our kids kind of bought into, this is the way we're going to do things, and just did you can go one of two ways off those things, and I was really proud of the way our kids bounced back and again got some really big wins after that, because again that was a deal that could go either way, so we handled it the right way.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, you guys had the big win over Social Circle, a tough loss, and then the big wins over Hebron, Monroe area. You guys sweep the region and then get the first playoff win in a while. So before last season, you guys had lost in the first round 7 straight years. So it's good that you guys have made the playoffs every year, but that is a tough kind of psychological thing to get over, just having your season in the first round. So how big was that for you guys to get that playoff win last year?
That was huge for us. Coming in here, one of the deals was kind of take this program to the next tier. Was it was emphasized to me that we want to win playoff games around here. We've been in the playoffs a lot. Morgan's got really good tradition, had some really good coaches, really good players here. But it felt like there was kind of a monkey on the program's back, to try to get that playoff win. I was fortunate to be in some good programs before that who we had some really good runs at Tequila in the playoffs, and we just wanted to get that monkey off the program's back, I thought was huge last year. We beat a really good Monroe of Albany team out here at our place, and our kids were super excited about that. And and it's kind of one of those things. We just want to continue. You never want to make. It's hard because you can make like that a big deal, and it can work against you mentally. But I think we used it more as this is just a goal, and we're going to continue to. We want to take the next step and the next step and the next step.
Yeah, and you were talking about the kids buying in. This is going to be your 4th year. You guys have increased the win total every season. I already talked about the offense last year, but defensively, I mean, that's the buy-in we're talking about because you guys really stepped it up defensively last year. What's that unit looking like?
Actually, pretty good. We lost we lost a really good linebacker, Landon Vickers, and Antavius Elder as a defensive lineman that's going to UAB. So we lost some good players off that defense, but we're getting 4 linebackers back. Or 3 of our 4 linebackers are coming back. From last year's team, Drew Ainsley, Brody Jenkins, Christian Montford. We got Jay Elder back in the secondary, Dallas Dickerson, Tato. So we're getting a lot of guys back that have played a lot of football. We're excited about that. It's year to year. You always got to try to find a way to piece this back together. So, but we're excited about some of the pieces we have, and we've had some young kids that have played in some big games now.
Yeah, and I mean, in your region, you guys held Richmond to 7-point shutout Salem, and then looks like the Hesba game. Your secondary was really solid last year in terms of not giving up the big play. Teams were trying to establish both the run and the pass, but you guys were solid on the back end. So who is returning in that secondary? I know you mentioned a couple names, but they give you confidence that they aren't going to give up those explosive plays.
Well, we lost 2 really good seniors with Zach Moore and Trayvon Rhodes. Did an outstanding job for us at safety. But again, going back to those guys, Jay Elder played corner for us all year and is a really good receiver. Dallas Dickerson played at corner, did a really good job for us. And Ty Tillery played in at safety. We feel, again, we've got some pieces. But we did, defensively. The cool thing about last year was I felt like we got better defensively every week. It was just, you could see us getting better. You could see the maturation process. And again, I was really excited. I think we were at one point in the year, and I'm not the best stat guy, but we had given up like 9-10 points, a game at one point, and man, that's really hard to do when you're playing, good offenses. So I really thought we showed a lot of growth, and but you go back to the other side of the ball, offensively, quarterback-wise, getting Davis Strickland back. Davis split the reps with Talon Fuller, who did a great job for us last year. We're excited to see what Davis can do, this year offensively. But I was super proud of what our guys did on defense last year.
Yep, and then Davis, he's I think a baseball player, also has a big arm. He's got a huge frame. I think he's already a 6'2", so that was an intentional sharing of the reps. But what have you kind of told him this offseason and just what his expectations are going to be?
I think, Davis knows the expectations. We biggest thing we want for him is, his always with quarterbacks, talked a lot about it with our offensive coordinator. We want Davis to make good decisions. We want Davis to take care of the football. We know, what his ceiling is as far as throwing the football and all that kind of stuff. but there's a lot of guys out there that can throw the football around. We want Davis to take care of the football, and he's a smart kid and make good decisions for us. And it's kind of go that Kenny Rogers song as a quarterback. You kind of got to know when to hold them, when to fold them. So the biggest thing with Davis is he split the reps last year and did an unbelievable job, and we're excited for him to actually have the reins this year and see what he can do with them.
Yep, I know you probably don't have any stats in this, but just from the overview, it looks like you guys did a really good job protecting the football last year, not turning it over offensively as a product of the great run game, but also, as you mentioned, the decision making. So, how has that improved since you first got there, just having an offense that is not making those unforced errors?
I think it was, it's funny. We go back and analytically, you look at that stuff every year. You look at the turnover margin, and I think the first year we were, what were we? We were -5, I think. In the turnover margin, and then I think the next year we were better. Kind of doubled our win total the next year, but we were still -1, I think, and this was the first year that we were actually to be able to get out and be on the positive side of just that statistic. So again, and that's what you want to see. You want to see your points per game go up, your points allowed go down. I mean, all these things, all these numbers don't lie. So we were able to see our turnover margin, go the way we wanted it to go finally this year, and obviously some of those big wins versus better opponents start to come.
For sure. And then with a lot of these guys we're mentioning from last year, they were sophomores. It looks like this class of 2026, it looks like a pretty big group. Talk about them a little bit and just what their potential is these next 2 seasons.
Yeah, this is a good bunch. Again, and they really did a lot for us last year too. Obviously, you got Davis Strickland, at quarterback. Our entire offensive line. Some of those guys, Jamari Mundy. We got a set of twins, Cooper and Connor Pittman, Colton Morgan, Jatavius Ward. All those guys are sophomores. Christian Mumford, will step up at running back this year. He's a sophomore. He's in that 26 class. Brody Jenkins played a lot of linebacker for us, was our long snapper. Drew Ainsley played tight end, outside linebacker for us. Just Dallas Dickerson, Ty Tillery, those guys in the secondary, receiver guys, they're all in that 26 class. So, that class is a really good class, and there's going to be a lot on them, next year. And we don't have as many seniors this year, but a couple of guys, Draco Frazetta, Jalen Elder, we've already mentioned him, Jamel Cox. Our senior class, our upcoming senior class is, we don't have as many guys as we do in that 26 class, but we've definitely got some key pieces in that class too that we're excited about.
Yep, and they've been there. They were freshmen when you came over and took over. They'll be seniors now. In terms of this schedule, though, you guys will, looks like, open up with Warren County, Putnam County, Oconee County, Greene, and then at Cedar Shoals. I think that wraps up the non-region. So you're talking about how you guys made improvements throughout last season, but what have you seen from those guys just with their physicality this offseason, and how prepared do you think you guys are going to be week 1?
I think we're a year stronger in the weight room. Coach McCovic's done an unbelievable job here in the weight room. We've seen our kids. That was a deficiency when we got here, and our kids have worked really hard, and our coaches have worked really hard. We're a high school program. We're a developmental program. So for us, it starts in the weight room, And our kids we were playing kids at 170, 185 pounds, and they'll be 10 to 15 pounds heavier this year, and they'll be that much stronger physically. The relative strength's going up. So our numbers in the weight room are really good, and that's what we base our program on. I think everything starts in the weight room. So I think we'll be bigger and stronger version of what we are, and that's something that doesn't stop. You got to keep working on.
Yep, and then Morgan County, it's a historic program. It's been playing for a long time. Since you got there, have you guys had any updates in terms of facilities? Have you guys been able to add some new things to the weight room just the last few years?
Yeah, definitely. We're actually in the middle of we're getting some new racks and updating the weight room right now. It's going to be really, really nice. We actually just got a multi-million-dollar fill house, just unbelievable. I'm actually sitting here in my office in the new fill house right now. We just moved in about a month and a half ago, and it's next level nice. Just really appreciative of our administration, our board of ed down here, and just really made. I mean, Morgan County, if you ever come to Madison, Georgia, it's just an unbelievable place, and love the people down here, and they've done a great job down here for us, and we're excited, and we want to put this program where we think it belongs. So,
and then last question, just this school year in general, you guys had a big season in football. Just what's the overall kind of state of the athletic program right now? Obviously, baseball is doing its thing, but how successful has this year been?
I think it's been good. I think, we got some really good coaches here in the other sports, and we just won the boys just won the region championship in soccer last night. So girls softball won the region championship. Our baseball team is definitely they got to deal with Harlem, who won the state last year, but our baseball team's having a heck of a year too. So they're going to be in the race. So, just overall, as far as the athletics are, it's a great place to be, and I think it's a cool time to be here. So,
yep, you guys are always in that top tier in every sport I look at. So it's going to be an exciting 2024 for sure. Well, Coach Jenkins, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your time, and go Bulldogs.
Go Dogs, Craig. Thanks for having me,
Dogs,
man.
Yeah. So there goes Coach Jenkins. And, yeah, so I definitely wanted to get them on because if you look at last year, as I said, the conversation around 3A was dominated by Cedar Grove, obviously, Calvary Day, and Savannah Christian matching up in the region, and then again in the playoffs, I believe. Savannah Christian ended up advancing after Cedar Grove beat Calvary Day, but Morgan County was right there the entire season, having an incredible year on both sides of the football. Coach Jenkins came from Decula, where he had a ton of success. He left in 2021 to take the job, and now they're going down to 2A. They're going to have to deal with Callaway in the region. It's probably one of the bigger threats. Morgan County swept its region last year. It's completely brand new. But I think they really have a good shot and are going to be in that top 10 to start the season. And they won the playoff game last year. They lost to Savannah Christian, a state finalist, in a very competitive game. And I think we need to keep them in mind heading into this year. But let's take one more quick break. We'll get back on the other side.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back. So let's talk some baseball real quick. It's been spring break. But this weekend and then last night, there have been some games they're picking back up. There's big action at Lake Point last night with some tournament action and some major doubleheaders. And I think the most significant result we saw last night was a big doubleheader between Cartersville and Houston County. Cartersville's been number 1 in Class 5A for the entire season. They had some of their bigger matchups. They beat Etowah 1-0. That was when Etowah, I think, was number 2 in 6A behind Houston County. And then I'm trying to think. Yeah, so then Cartersville went into that matchup that I'm about to talk to. They were 16-3. Their other loss came out of state to Bob Jones and Hernando. I don't know what state that's in. But they were challenging themselves this week. They had the big one against McIntosh, and then they had to play Houston County. So you're playing 2 top 10 matchups. Houston County's number 1 in 6A. They beat McIntosh 2-1 and then fell to Houston County 2-1. Both extremely close games. That will be a big test for them that they'll take advantage of heading into the rest of their area play where they're 9-0. But I think those results, it just validates how good Houston County is and then how good McIntosh is. McIntosh had a 10-game win streak going into its matchup with Cartersville. Cartersville snapped it, and then Cartersville had an 11-game win streak going into its matchup with Houston County, and it got snapped in a 2-1. They will play tonight against Cedartown. That'll be a big matchup, and then they got region play against Cass, and then just 2 more games after that, Centennial and River Ridge. So Cartersville, I see them maintaining that number 1 ranking heading into the playoffs. The win over McIntosh was huge, and I think the loss to Houston County, the back end of a doubleheader, I think it's just a result that they'll be able to learn from. And Houston County, right before that, I think they played a team out of Tennessee, Houston, or maybe it's pronounced Houston, Tennessee. Let me look at that. And here's why Houston County came out against Cartersville guns blazing. They lost to the Houston, Tennessee team 17-2. So they got humbled. Cartersville was coming off a win, and so they were probably desperate to have a better result than that. So Houston County responded well. The win over Cartersville, that will keep them at number 1 in 6A. All right, the rest of the poll, let's see where it shifted this week. And pull these rankings up real quick. All right, in Class 7A, North Gwinnett made a big jump. They're up to number 3 this week behind Parkview and Lowndes. They surpassed Buford after Buford lost back-to-back games to Grayson. Grayson was in the top 10 earlier this season, but they got swept by Parkview and then swept by Brookwood. And they still had to play Archer, Newton, and South Gwinnett, which they've done extremely well. So they're back in that playoff picture. But that's a big statement by Grayson. I've always said Buford, if you look at them, they rarely ever lose back-to-back games because their bullpen, their aces are so strong. But Grayson in non-region play, they got 2 big wins over Buford. So that put Buford down to number 6, and then Brookwood's up there ahead of them. All right, then I'm going to need to edit that real quick, but in Class 6A, the poll did not shift, and I don't think it will until we look at this weekend's results. But then in Class 5A, Greenbrier had a big series victory over Coffee, so they jumped the Trojans. Greenbrier is always making deep runs in baseball, always making it to the finals. But 5A has a lot of teams that I think are going to be able to hang with Cartersville. They got undefeated Villa Rica. They got Greater Atlanta Christian that's won 17 straight. They've got Greenbrier at number 4, who just had the big series win over Coffee. And then they have an Ola team that is playing incredibly well. and they're I think they're undefeated in their region with Jones County, Warner Robins, and all those other powerhouses. In Class 4A, you got Stars Mill still at number 1. Perry's been the biggest surprise this year. They are red hot. They're up at number 4 this week. North Hall, they had to vacate 7 wins earlier in the season, but they've actually been the front runners in Region 8, which is the largest region in all of 4A and has the most teams represented in the top 10, including East Forsyth, who's now at number 7. They have surpassed North Oconee in the region standings. I think North Oconee is a 2-time defending state champ, and then Seconder, a brand new Seconder school, just had a 2-1 series win over North Oconee. So North Oconee fell all the way to number 10 this week. I still have them in there because they have had some big top 10 wins, but they are definitely on the brink of missing out on the playoffs just due to that region. In Class 3A, you have Harlem at number 1. They're still undefeated. They only lost 1 game last season. I think they're 25-0 at this point. They're number 15 nationally, and they continue to just dominate out of the Augusta area. Morgan County, who's in that tough region with them, they're at number 5. You got Calvary Day at number 3, and then Pickens at number 2. In Class 2A, North Cobb Christian and Mount Perrin lead that poll. North Cobb Christian beat Mount Perrin earlier this season. Mount Perrin has beaten everyone else. North Cobb Christian's most recent loss was to IMG Academy, so we aren't going to fault them for that. And then Worth County at number 3 continues to be my sleeper team. In Class A Division 1, you got Prince Evan Christian, the defending champs, leading the way. Athens Christian made a 5-spot jump this week. They're at number 6 now. And then Whitfield Academy also rose from number 10 to number 7. They just had a big series win, I believe, over Kings Ridge Christian. And then finally, in Class A Division 2, got Slide County 1, Charlton County 2. That one, got to be honest, it is a toss-up. Both of them have been phenomenal. And then Baconton Charter has one of the longest win streaks in the state, and you got Bowden at 5. And then that poll is closed with Wheeler County and Miller County. You can look at that breakdown at scoreatl.com. There will be some more games to tune into tonight. All right, let me pull up some track and field news real quick. All right, so this past week, it's been spring break, so you aren't going to see a lot of track and field meets. There were some, but they were very small meets. Westminster had their, I think it was just called the Westminster Varsity Meet, but there were only 3 schools participating in that. It was Wesleyan, Lovett, and the Wildcats. But the outcome of this one is Grace Smith. She's the reigning track and field athlete of the year. Last year at state, she had the most individual points out of any athlete in the state. She dominated the hurdles, the relays, and then to no surprise, she won the Westminster meet. She had a first place finish in the girls 100-meter hurdles with a 14.8, and that is good enough for a Georgia top 25 mark this season. So that's not even her primary event, and she's posting one of the best times in the state. You also had Tia Hall. She had a personal record of 16.22 in that same event. So that's a personal record for her, and Grace beat her by nearly 2 seconds. And then, let's see real quick. I don't have it in front of me right now, but Walton, they did win the boys Cobb County championships, and they came up huge in the field events, and that was Lota Agokwe. If you watch Walton's football team this last year, he was one of the most underrated players on that defensive line. He's going, I believe he's a Yale commit, but he is on track to potentially win a state title this year in the shot put. He's putting up massive marks in that department. Whitfield Academy, like Westminster, they hosted their own home meet on Wednesday as well. There were 7 boys teams, 6 girls. They won 213 to 109 on the girls side, and then 259 to 87 on the boys. Utterly dominated. And then in the 100-meter dash, that's Whitfield Academy's strongest event so far. They had sophomore Jace Barker, Mason Relaford clock a 1-2 finish, and then Bryce Duck and Bryce Logan also ran personal best sub 12-second times. So Whitfield Academy right now has 5 guys that are running under 12 seconds in the 100-meter dash. That's going to be invaluable for state. They can qualify multiple runners. And then next week, just to look ahead, this will be on April 8th, and it will be the aptly named Seconder Back from the Break 2024 meet. So that will signify, obviously, the return of all these teams from their spring break. We'll see if they've been on the beach relaxing or training for the second half of the season. But that one's going to include Decula, Discovery, Gainesville, Loganville Christian, Riverside Military, and Seconder. And then tonight, this will be a big one. It is Friday Night Lights in Rome. Buckley County, Cedartown, Coosa, Darlington, Pepperell. And then the team to watch in this Rome one tonight is Marietta. They have sophomore sensation Mary Naismith. She last weekend had a complete sweep of the distance events in the Cobb County Championships. Only a sophomore. She's one of the most talented athletes in track and field this season, and she won the 3200 and the 1600 meter 2 days later. So she's on pace to have another fantastic season, and she is just a sophomore. And Marietta's other star is Camille Brown. She won the 400 meter dash with a personal record time of 57.26. So let's see if Mary Naismith and then Camille Brown can improve on their times from outstanding showings in the Cobb County Championships. All right, and I'm going to hit this more next week, but the GHSA has just released, it came, I think, yesterday, the 2024 statewide football schedules. So we've had to go on teams' Twitter accounts to look at the graphics, but now it is all up there. You can check all the schedules. Obviously, the regions are brand new this year. Some of them are similar to last year, but there's some dramatically different ones. And then you can see some of these big-time matchups we have to look forward to. Like I'll just start with Carrollton. They're going to open at Woodward Academy. Should be a big one. Later have a big home matchup against Gainesville. Douglas County, they'll obviously be in the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic against Cedar Grove. Watch out for that one. Rivals East Coweta and Sandy Creek are squaring off in their opener. You got Westlake and Mays. Another big matchup, but I highly suggest checking out those schedules and getting excited about this upcoming football season. That's at theghsa.net. All right, well, that is it for today. I want to thank our guests so much for coming on. Go to scoreatl.com, check the scoreboard this weekend. We'll be updating these spring sports. The state playoffs are about to start. I think I'm going to have a gymnastics coach on the show either Monday or Wednesday. We've got those state championships coming up, and we'll have more spring coverage. But that's it for today. Hope everyone has a good weekend.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.